Hi there, this is a do-it-yourself video describing how to undercoat a car. So up in Canada we have a lot of salt on the roads in the wintertime to eat through the ice so that we can drive around safely, but that salt corrodes the metal on cars and eats through brake lines and rots through gas tanks, and it's really not very good. So I do my own undercoating. I do it every fall for sure, and usually I touch it up in the spring just, well, I don't know, I probably don't need to, but I do anyway. And so on this video I'll talk about the fluids we use, the tools I need, and how I go about it. So this is my undercoating gun right here, and it is a air powered gun, so compressed air goes in here, there's a trigger, and you have this wand that allows you to drill it, stick it up into a drilled hole in the frame or in the fenders or wherever, and fluid comes out and sprays out in a pattern, like a misting pattern out this end. You don't need a compressor this big. I had a 60-gallon compressor before. This is an 80-gallon RK 4-cylinder pump compressor, and it's overkill for this application, but anyway, it's what I have. I have a regulator, pressure regulator, that keeps the pressure down to about 110, maybe 100 to 110 psi, because if it's more than that, the fluid comes out of the undercoating gun in a mist. It just the whole garage is just a mist. But if I take the pressure down a little bit, it comes out as a spit, which is much better because you don't need to have it vaporized in the garage. The fluid I use looks like this, and it's similar consistency to fluid film. In fact, I would hazard to guess they may even be the same manufacturer, but I don't know. It kind of has the consistency of Vaseline. And what's nice about it is it creeps over time. So even if you don't spray into every nook and cranny, it will make its way there. So the stuff I buy is from SureFit Automotive, and it's a 20-liter pail, Proform oil-based. They call it annual rust proofing. They call it the dripless penetrating fluid. It actually smells like cherries, which is okay. It does not have a very petroleum stinky stink smell. It does smell like cherry, so it's fine. This is a 20-liter pail, and the cost of it is almost $100 for the 20-liter pail. So with respect to how do we actually apply it, that's the easy part. I take compressed air with my little air nozzle here, and I blow all inside the fenders, like from the inside. Clean all the dirt out there. I blow all the dirt off the bottom of the rocker panels and underneath the frame. And so I just really clean as much loose material off as I can. On this vehicle, it's in great shape. There's not a lot of rust. But on another vehicle I just recently acquired, and there is a fair amount of shale rust on the frame. And every time I blow with the air compressor, there's a ton of, shaly, rusty, flaky metal that falls on the ground. So get all that junk off of the car, and if you can help it, this car's a little bit wet, I'm waiting for it to dry out. If you can help it, do it when the car is dry and the oil just seems to adhere better to the car when it's dry. It does not drip, so it's nice about this product compared to chainsaw oil I've heard people using, or other types of fluid. It just doesn't drip on the floor. Your garage is still clean when you do this. So I will spray all the inside of the fenders. I'll take the nozzle and spray it back in the outward direction to get on top of the fenders and the wheel wells, and same on the rocker panels. Spray it all along the rocker panels, and from like kind of underneath the car I'll spray back like in the direction of almost at my face direction to spray from both sides of the rocker panel seams underneath there. Most newer vehicles have plugs, plastic plugs that you can pull out with needle nose pliers and get access to the rocker panels and even in the bottom of the doors. For vehicles that don't have that, you can drill a hole yourself and buy these little plugs right here. Just a second. So it's like a half-inch hole maybe, and you drill it, and then these little plugs just pop into place, and it's like a really professional looking job, and it keeps the water out. So I go all the way around the whole car. I actually start underneath the car first, so that, well, if my head bumps up against the rocker panel, it's still clean by that point. So I do underneath the car, all the brake lines, the fuel lines, the gas tank straps, and then I work my way out to the rocker panels, the front and rear bumper area, and then I open up the doors, do underneath the bottom of the doors, do these seams along here, all underneath the bottom of the doors, do the door hinges, and the little like shock absorber thing that slows the door down. I do that because that often squeaks. Underneath the hood, I'll do under the hood, but be very careful that you're not, I'm standing right in front of the front bumper right now, looking at the hood. Be careful you don't just spray it at this angle, because any that misses and goes over the hood is going to land right in your windshield, and that stuff is just, well, it's an oily product and it just makes a mess of your windows. And while I'm in the engine compartment, I'll do every little bolt, every bolt head that I see, any kind of metal lines of anything. I don't bother doing aluminum. Well, maybe I guess sometimes I might touch up. Looks like there are aluminum hoses for like the air conditioner and stuff. I generally stick to any kind of steel bolt on the upper side of the fenders where the trunk shuts down. Also in the hood itself, there are drain holes. I'll go up inside of every drain hole and spray some around there. And all of the suspension parts as well. Now, when you're undercoating, you want to make sure you do not get undercoating fluid on two critical areas. On your brake discs and brake drums, do not go near there because that's, well, it's obvious. And the second area that you do not want to get undercoating fluid is on the oxygen sensors in your exhaust system. In fact, stay away from your exhaust system anyway, because the oil gets burnt off the first time you run the car on the highway anyway, on your exhaust. So there's no point in doing it in the first place. I suppose it has a risk of catching fire, so that's no good. And secondly, if you actually get it on the oxygen sensor and even the wire that runs away from the oxygen sensor, that impacts the oxygen sensor's ability to do its job. And I've heard of O2 sensors needing to be replaced after the vehicle's been undercoated. So that's a tip for you. Another one, on any cars that have the seatbelt in the door, this one does not, but you know, some cars, you got to pull the seatbelt out from the top of the door. Pull that seatbelt out all the way, and from the bottom of the door, the top of the door, pull it out all the way and kind of tie it outside the door so that when you spray inside, you don't get any on the seatbelt. Like, it's not in the car to get dirty. Once you're done spraying, you can let the seatbelt retract. And trying to think if there's anything else. You can do inside the gas cap cover area. That's also a spot that corrodes on some vehicles. And underneath the trunk lid, near the bottom, there's really not much rust that happens near the top. You know, from kind of license plate up, there's not much rust that happens. But from, you know, midway of the trunk down on a vehicle, that's where all the action is. So make sure you do that bottom seam. Now, a key piece with this fluid that I use, it is amber, and it says right on it, amber. Get that stuff. Don't get the black stuff. If you get the amber stuff on your clothes, it's going to make a stain that if you work at it, you'll get the stain out. The black stuff is terrible on clothing. It's very difficult. I don't know if you can get it out. So I always buy the amber because it never fails. Somebody will brush up against the car or have their winter coat hanging out and shut the door on it, and now they got a real mess. So stick with the amber. I've heard the only reason why people use black stuff is because after you spray it on, you can't see through it. So if you're trying to conceal a problem, I don't know, say a cracked frame or a rusted out frame, use the black stuff, and then whoever goes to look at the car that you're trying to sell, they won't be able to know what's wrong with it. Well, I just think that's a horrible thing to do in the first place, and so I don't understand the reason why black undercoating fluid exists. Maybe somebody knows, and they can post a comment and tell me why. Okay, thanks, and good luck with your undercoating jobs. And if you do this, you will have a car that does not need repairs. I mean, if you do this every year since the car is new, I don't know if you'd ever need to do any metal work on the body or even paint. Have a great day. Bye-bye.